Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back. You can see we're here at North Las Vegas, and I am getting ready to do my fourth leg of the Nascar 2022 series, or the tour. So we are headed now from Vegas. We are here Saturday, March 12th, and we're going to be going to Phoenix. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get myself a little organized. I've run through the first ones. Last one was a hot mess. I've kind of decided trying to do VAT Sim and that, especially since I barely know VAT Sim, like that was too much. It was a mess, and I barely had anything I could use. But hopefully that video wasn't too bad. If you haven't seen it, I don't know that I'd recommend you go back and look at it. But at a minimum, I suppose it would give you some visibility of kind of what you're going to hear from VAT Sim and things like that. But we are doing this tour because that's what exists in Walker Air Transport, which is the VA that I'm using for this series and that I'm flying the tour for. And we're here in, the 2024 season, and my intent is I'm basically releasing these in time so that it would be similar to, hey, we're moving from track to track just as we would. It's just the 2024 schedule is a little different. However, in this case, this would be the same thing, going from Vegas to Phoenix this year as we would have done in 2022. So at least here we are overlapping. The other thing I am doing here that may cause a little bit of a hiccup, I've gone ahead after, again, many people have suggested, I've actually paid for a Navigraph subscription, which should give me, I think, more, well, it's supposed to do a lot more stuff as far as my navigation, rather than using just something like SimBrief or SimToolkit Pro, and then following on the overlay from Walker Air Transport and so forth. So what I tend to do with these is go ahead and just get going and show you little pieces of the flight, because the flights end up being far too long usually. This one's not terrible. I'll probably end up recording the whole flight. We'll just see if I determine if I use it all or not. So it all remains to be seen. Feedback on, if you're enjoying the way I'm putting them together or not, obviously is always going to be important. All right, so to be able to see things, usually get rid of the yoke so that things are visible. We're going to go ahead and turn on our battery. That'll get us some power. And we've got avionics on dispatch. And I'll turn on the pitot heaters. Get that warning to go away. We can arm our emergency lights. That then makes everything go away there. We obviously want to leave our parking brake on. So we're all set with that. And now if I set my avionics to dispatch, that's going to allow me to work with the flight management computer here. So we can go ahead and do that. We can go to position initialization, which is what it needs first. Now, no flight plan. What I can do is go to index, route menu, flight plan recall, and that will go out and pull things in and at least get me some basic info. So at this point, we can go to departure and arrival. We're going to BLD. We're going to have no transition, and we're taking off from runway 12 right in this case. And then arrival-wise, we're going to be coming in on Desert 2 with the Kgyr transition, and we're going to be landing on runway 21. So at this point, I think it should have all those pieces, yes, and I can execute. And then in my legs, I just need to quickly check, and we're looking for these type of things where we have a discontinuity. So we're going to take Kgyr, move it up, execute, and again we're just changing those out, putting that over there, and then executing, and that should get me something that I can fly. Alright, there's no data for wind, it's just wind calm at North Vegas is what it's telling me at this point. Alright, fuel management, I need 2,200 pounds of fuel. We've got 2,900, so we're good there. Right, we've got all our weights, which comes in the Cessna, which is always a nice thing. So at this point, I think we've got enough to get going and get ourselves further along in our process. So we're going to want to set our takeoff flaps to 15. I'm going to want to get things set for the arrival too, now that I think about it. So here we've got wind 220, 5 knots, and that will help everything kind of adjust here. You know, again, we're kind of on, you know, various pages. So here our altimeter, I didn't set that either. On this side it's 3012. So that changes the height, as you can see, and so forth. And we've got our V speeds here, which are what we need to take off. Takeoff flaps are 15 because you can do 0 or 15, but we'll do 15. I think we're in good shape here. So we'll go back to legs. And yeah, we've got enough room. We're going to be able to just turn and leave here. And we're just going to take off from 12 right where we're at here. We don't need the full length of the runway. It's we should be fine. So I think I'm just going to enter here and take off that way. We're going to want to set the beacon light, logo lights. During the day, less worried about it. And then we do the engine start. And then what we are looking for is looking for that to get to 20% of N2. And then we actually start the engine. So this is kind of, I don't know, priming the fuel. Not quite sure how I describe that, but then we go here. Got to open the cover, hit run, close the cover, and you can see now it's spinning up past that point. And then we repeat that, obviously, once the engine is going. You know, you can wait for it to stabilize, is kind of what's in the checklist, so that you're just waiting for this to kind of stop rising, and that way, so there you go, some of the things went off, and now it's all lining up there. And now we go back to repeat with engine, the other engine, which should be engine 1. Again, why you do engine 2 and 1, I think it's just what is done. It's kind of the, I don't know, it's the way we've always done it type of thing, but you know, that's what we've got, and that's how most checklists are done. But you're just basically flipping the protection on there. We're going to go to avionics and actually turn them on now so that everything can come up. Alright, and one of the things I'm really happy with, I've got the barometric pressure here so that I can actually just set it to what's on the chart, which again is 3012 in this case, and I'm not sitting there looking up conversions. So I figured out how to change it from HPA to that, and for those who are wondering, you go to PFD and you go into config and you're able to change that, and you kind of use your you know, move your menu here, as it says, kind of menu advanced. So you go down to config, push that, and you can see pressure here. So again, you'd rotate down to that, and then, you know, you're just changing your value, and that is how you do that. So if you have been unfamiliar with that, if you've been running into the same problem that I have, now you understand what you need to do. All right. So if I go here, my altitude for this flight is flight level 240. So we'll get that in here so that we're set when we take off. And then I get my flight director button, my yaw damper, and we get the heading set to typically where you're taking off for the runway. So gotta kind of get it over there. We're gonna be at 120 is about where we're taking off. So we'll get that set there. I'm gonna tap the heading button, so that will just keep us on the heading. And then we tap the nav button, which is showing now LNAV, so that will take over at some point. And then the vertical speed button, and you know, we set some sort of climb out, so set it at, let's say, 1,000. That should be reasonable. And then we are, at this point, good to go. So we'll release the parking brake. We'll move up the fuel. We know these people won't move, so, and then move the throttle, I should say, not the fuel. All right. Always love this. Are things not? No. There we go. Hopefully that'll be enough. There we go. So we've got some movement. So probably not a good spot for her, but you know, it's flight sim. Kind of does that. Alright, so I'm going to get up here to the runway, because that basically is then what we want to do. Set the brake again. Now I really should have had my taxi lights on. I did not. So shame on me for that, I suppose. Didn't do the greatest job that I could have. But we are there. We've taxied to the holding position, set that. Again, we're not using any kind of ATC or anything. So taxi lights would be off. And now we're going to go back here. We're going to have landing lights on and the strobe light on. And we've got, you know, clearance for takeoff would be what we're looking at. Alright, so we do have our nav there. There's just going to be a quick turn when we take off. Of course, again, you know, we're heading out. So BLD kind of runs over. There's an intercept. And then we go there. I could probably make this a little smoother. Let me go in here. And we'll just replace this. That's probably not quite. So let's see. There we go. So that'll get us there. And then I do want to drop off BLD. So let me delete BLD. We'll execute that. Because basically, otherwise, part of the departure takes us down this leg that we really don't want to go down. It takes us over Boulder. But that should smooth things out a bit. So at this point, then, we're going to get moving again, get ourselves out on the runway, and get ourselves moving into the air and start flying. And we'll then take things from there. So for any of these series, I just tend to fly during the day, because otherwise you're just not... I hate how sometimes it'll do this. You know, you can see we've got equipment just willy-nilly running across. All right. So we're set. At about 90, we can take off. So now suddenly everything's decided it's going to move. So good timing for it. So always something. Alright, so we're going to head out. Get ourselves up a bit. We're only 200 up. So I do want to be careful that I get a good amount up there. And then hopefully the autopilot will do its thing. We're going to hit nav again. Not quite sure why it's not doing what we want. Let's see. So we'll go direct there. We'll see if that changes. All right. So that's a little bit more of what I'd expect to see. Get the gear up. We're not quite at... let's see. Should definitely be a little higher on the throttle. Alright, so flying over Vegas. I think that's the Stratosphere Hotel. I think that's the Mirage. Maybe. I don't know. The Strip's actually probably over where all those other things are. So, and again, we're going to fly basically right over the main airport. So that's KLAS, which is the main airport that we've got within Vegas, obviously, but I thought I had moved my flaps in. I guess not. No, I waited a little bit. That's true. So now that will move us along a little smoother. A few planes down there. You can see things are moving around. I do have the injector running. I don't always do that, but we've got someone taking off there. So, kind of overflying. I don't know if that would happen, but I assume to some degree it would. Obviously, this is a traffic pattern. I didn't, but you can see him taking off there, and we're obviously heading in opposite directions, so... I'm going too fast. I didn't realize that, so let me back this off. I'm going way too fast. Goodness, I'm like over, I'm not even at 10,000 feet, so yeah, I need to back this off a good amount here. So I think that's more the alarm. It's not necessarily a structural issue here. It's just kind of the point I'm at. Well, that's lots of fun. So yeah, in any event here, we've as we take off and we start moving along. So at Vegas, at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we were just at the Pennzoil 400 last weekend, so Alex Bowman won the race. He had a really exciting two-tire pit stop right at the end that kind of put him in position to go ahead and do that. And then in second place was Kyle Larson. And beyond that, we had Ross Chastain, who did hold the lead for most of the race. I think he was leading about 83 laps or so. He finished third. Kyle Busch was fourth, and then William Byron was the last in the top 5. So the top 10 ended up being Eric Almirola, who's been doing pretty well. He's been finishing in the top 10 for most of the season so far. Then Tyler Riddick, Martin Truex, Chase Elliott, and then the pole sitter, Christopher Bell, ended up finishing 10th. So overall, just, an interesting weekend as always. but we are taking the Cessna mainly because of the short flight that we had, or the short runway that we had, so we just did not have enough space to do much of anything else. Alright, so we've got about 185 nautical miles to go to get to Phoenix. It's going to be a little bit of a lengthy flight here. So I'm going to settle in at this point until we get closer to the airport. But as we get closer, we'll kind of worry about what the situation is then. Back here, heading into Phoenix. So just kind of taking a look around here as we're heading in. We're at about 5,000 feet. A little less than, I think, 7 or 8 miles out from the airport. Just take a little bit of a look around here. See the city back there behind us. So airport's a little ways away, but we're basically on a straight line in here to runway 21. Just playing with the throttle a little bit, making sure things are set. Get my gear down. So that will slow us down some more, obviously. That will help. Get the throttles moved a little bit more. Obviously, I don't want to get too slow. So that's always a bit of a challenge. Alright, we've got our flaps out here at the first level. Let's see, we're getting down to about 120 or so, I think. Now we're faster than that. Hard to see from this far away. But we can see now catching the glide path finally. So, and now we're going to be turning in to the runway. And settling into that. It should be a pretty smooth approach in, I would think. Definitely excited about the prospects of getting these VIPs around. This was a little bit of a short flight. We've got a long flight ahead of us next time. We're going to be heading from here over to Atlanta, which is a little bit different, where in 2024, the current year that I'm recording this, they're going, NASCAR goes to Bristol, but here Atlanta raced on March 20th, or NASCAR raced in Atlanta on March 20th. So we'll be heading across the country, but we'll be going a little further east than we would have if we were just going to Bristol, which is in the kind of northeast tip of Tennessee, if you're unfamiliar with where that track is. Although I would imagine when we're flying into Bristol, we're probably going to be back in the Cessna or something like it. The nice thing with the Walker fleet is we've got different aircraft we can use, so I can always have someone get me what we need. And the VIPs are certainly paying us enough. We're coming in there, down, getting close. You can see the ground coming up on the side there. So, heading close. Always feels low when I do this. I just kind of need to trust the autopilot, but I'm just not feeling it, so took over. Hopefully it won't be too bad here, because obviously we want to get a decent landing. A little bit of a bounce. Not what we would have liked, but we are down now. Start slowing down. Get ourselves slow enough. I can't turn there yet, so we'll release brakes a little bit, go a little further. Just need to look at the chart here where I need to go. Alright, there we go. Just want to be comfortable as we take off here. And then the terminal is behind us. What do I want to do? Yeah, I'll try to swing around. I guess it won't hurt if we go in the grass a little bit. Not like we're going super fast here. Alright, now we can see kind of the structures up there, so get ourselves over more on the center line on the taxiway here. And head on over to somewhere where we can park. So pretty nice weather here over in Phoenix. But I would think that's pretty typical. I think Phoenix is a bit of the desert, and so it's probably got a little bit of kind of that desert situation where we're not getting a lot of rain. We don't have a lot going on that way. Alright, let's head over here to the terminal. Always seems a little ways away, but you know, it's part of the fun, I think, in some cases. You know, it just really does come down to, do I have time? You know, depending on how much time the flight took or whatever, you know, was I able to squeeze it in? Sometimes, obviously, if I can, I'll taxi over. I always love the AI, and now traffic just, sure, will just stop right there in the middle of a taxiway with a plane coming. I suppose maybe they were going ahead and yielding to us, I suppose. But yeah, again, looking at the overlay, I'm gonna head over here to the parking places. And again, you can see why sometimes airports are edited. We've got like trees in the middle of the tarmac here. So I've run into a few major airports when I've flown here. So we're parked, and we're going to get ourselves set. So we need to get the engines turned off here. So there we go. Stop and stop. So that'll shut us down. That will make the flight official in a little bit here. But we're going to have, you can see those trees back there. But engine's still spinning down, as we can see, so it takes a little bit of time to know that they're off and going. But just been a little curious on engines winding down, and do they really stop in the animation and so forth. So I'm sticking around a little bit longer than I normally would before I sign off here to just see what that looks like. So there you go. The fans are getting slower, but we still, you know, we're at 0 point something. You'd think that they'd stop, but, you know, maybe there's just some ambient air that keeps moving it. I'm not sure. Do thank you for tagging along on this fourth leg here. Gonna get things wrapped up, and as always, if you have enjoyed what you've seen, haven't dropped a like, please consider doing that. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing that. All those things help out, help grow the community here. And with that, I will see you next time.